Yo, what's up guys, I'm Marcus, and today we're going somewhere that looks like paradise. But trust me, ancient Hawaii was low-key terrifying if you messed up even once. When people think of Hawaii, they picture warm weather, blue water, palm trees, and chill vibes. But ancient Hawaii was ruled by deadly laws that could end your life instantly. Back then, native Hawaiians lived under strict rules called kapu, and breaking even one small rule could get you brutally clubbed to death without warning. What's crazy is many of these rules involve normal things people do every single day now without thinking twice, like eating, walking, or just existing near powerful people. So today I'm breaking down things that would absolutely get you killed in ancient Hawaii. And some of these punishments are honestly hard to believe. Let's start with something innocent, like going on a cute little picnic date with someone you like near the beach. Sharing food, laughing, enjoying the moment. Sounds harmless, right? But back then, if a man and a woman ate together, that alone was enough to get someone's skull smashed in. In ancient Hawaii, it was kapu for men and women to eat together because food wasn't just food, it was believed to be the physical body of gods. Certain foods were reserved only for men, and women being anywhere near those foods was seen as spiritually dangerous and extremely disrespectful. If this rule was broken, the punishment almost always fell on the woman because, ancient rules were brutally unfair and one-sided. So while the man might walk away, the woman would be dragged off and killed on the spot for something as simple as sharing a meal. And don't think women could just eat whatever they wanted separately, because many foods were completely forbidden to them too. Take bananas for example, which seems ridiculous now, but women eating bananas in public back then was basically a death wish. Bananas were believed to be connected to a god of the underworld, making them completely off-limits to women under kapu law. What makes it worse is there were dozens of banana types, and only a few were actually allowed, so one wrong bite could end everything. Let's be real, nobody could tell those bananas apart easily, so avoiding them altogether was probably the smartest move for survival. Women were also forbidden from eating pork, which was connected to another powerful god, meaning no bacon, no roast, nothing. If a woman wanted meat, her only option was dog meat, because ancient Hawaii had no cows, pigs for women, or sheep. These dogs weren't pets like today either. They were raised mostly for food and were completely different from modern dogs. Women also weren't allowed to eat coconuts, which were tied to the god of war, even though coconuts seem peaceful now. Basically, if you were a woman in ancient Hawaii, your diet was limited, risky, and one mistake could get you killed fast. Now let's talk about chiefs, because being near one was honestly one of the most dangerous situations possible for common people. Hawaiian chiefs were believed to be descendants of gods, meaning they carried intense spiritual power called mana. Because of that, commoners weren't allowed to do many normal things around them, including something as simple as looking at them. If you accidentally locked eyes with a chief, that alone could be considered disrespectful and lead to immediate execution. Even worse, your shadow could kill you because casting your shadow on a chief or his home was a serious kapu violation. Shadows were believed to be extensions of a person's spirit, so casting one on a chief was like spiritually touching him. Stepping on a chief's shadow was considered an even bigger insult, basically accusing you of trying to steal his mana. Some chiefs avoided walking during the day just to prevent people from accidentally killing themselves with shadows. And touching a chief was never allowed, not even by accident, unless you wanted to lose your life instantly. But it didn't stop there, because even touching a chief's hair or fingernail clippings could get you executed. Hair and nails were believed to contain mana, so touching them meant you could curse or harm the chief spiritually. Because of this fear, chiefs burned or buried their clippings, and anyone caught messing with them was killed immediately. Finding someone brave enough to cut a chief's hair must have been insanely stressful back then. No joke. And if you thought clothes were safe, think again, because wearing the wrong colors could also get you killed. Red and yellow were sacred colors worn only by chiefs, made from rare bird feathers collected over long periods. If a commoner wore those colors, they'd be accused of pretending to be divine and punished with a brutal death. Honestly, surviving ancient Hawaii wasn't about strength. It was about knowing invisible rules and never messing up. And trust me, it gets even darker because we haven't even talked about fishing, chanting, or standing too tall yet. Now let's talk about height, because in ancient Hawaii, standing taller than a chief was basically signing your own death certificate on the spot. If a chief entered the area, commoners were expected to drop flat on the ground, face down, silent, and not even breathe wrong. Standing taller than a chief meant you were challenging his divine status, which was completely unacceptable and punished instantly and violently. Age didn't matter either. Elders, adults, and even kids were expected to obey these rules without hesitation or excuse. There are stories where small children broke kapu and were spared death, but still had eyes gouged out instead, which is insane. Yeah, that was considered mercy back then, which tells you how brutal and unforgiving this system really was. So honestly, if you were a commoner, the safest move was avoiding chiefs entirely if you wanted to stay alive. Now let's say you somehow survived daily life and decided to go fishing to feed your family. Sounds reasonable, right? Well, even fishing could get you killed if you caught the wrong fish at the wrong time of year. Ancient Hawaiians understood breeding seasons, so certain fish were kapu during spawning to protect food supplies long term. Two important fish, opalu and aku, were completely forbidden to catch during certain seasons to keep populations stable. This rule actually made sense, because breaking it could destroy food resources for the entire village. But intent didn't matter, even accidental catches could still put your life in danger. If you pulled one from your net and it died before release, that alone could bring serious punishment. Another fish called the moa was reserved only for chiefs and forbidden to commoners completely. The moa was considered extremely delicious, and honestly, chiefs didn't want common people tasting luxury foods. Even today in modern Hawaii, catching moa is restricted during certain months, but at least nobody's clubbing you now. Back then though, one wrong catch could mean execution without discussion or trial. Now let's move to chanting, because this one surprises a lot of people. Chanting wasn't just singing or vibing spiritually, it was considered extremely powerful and dangerous. Only trained priests called kahuna were allowed to chant, because chants were believed to directly affect reality. These chants had exact words, rhythms, and rituals that had to be followed perfectly. If a commoner chanted without permission, that alone was grounds for immediate execution. Messing up words, using a chant incorrectly, or performing it at the wrong time could all get you killed. Chants were treated like spiritual weapons, not entertainment, so mistakes were not tolerated at all. Women chanting was especially forbidden under kapu law and punished harshly. Basically, chanting without approval was like yelling, "Please execute me," in ancient Hawaii. Today people sell Hawaiian chants online for money, but back then that would have ended very badly. Everything about daily life was controlled by kapu, from food to shadows to clothing to sounds you made. These rules weren't written down either, you were just expected to know them from birth. Breaking kapu wasn't about justice, it was about maintaining power, fear, and control over society. Chiefs and priests used kapu to protect their status and keep commoners obedient and terrified. Living under that pressure every day must have been exhausting and terrifying. One mistake, one accident, one misunderstanding, and your life could be over instantly. So next time you relax on a beach in Hawaii, remember this land has a very dark past. Paradise today was once a place where survival meant constant fear and perfect obedience. If you enjoyed this breakdown, stick around because history gets way darker than most people realize. I'm Marcus, and I'll see you in the next one. Like, subscribe, and share.